All right, guys, what's going on? It's your boy Certified, and today we're back with a little bit more Lincoln info. Today, I'm going to show y'all how we do the reinforcement on the Lincoln spindles. All right, as you already know, this El Don Juan, my project Lincoln is spindle swap. It's got the 92 spindle swap, and I'm going to show y'all where to reinforce it and with what. All right, guys, well, first of all, me on my car, I used 2500 ball joints. These are off of Chevy 2500. But I'm telling y'all this because mostly everybody uses, I think the ones they use, the hopper ones, I think they come off of a 1500 Silverado. But what I had to do for these, I had to bore out the hole a little bit. That way the shaft to go in there. But I already cleaned up the spindle. And on these 92, you have to notch off that other bracket that holds the sway bar links. So you have to notch that piece off. That way this new style ball joint will go in and you'll be able to bolt it down. What I did is I already welded one side up, so I'm gonna show y'all how it was done. All right, you put this on the front side, not on the back side where the caliper goes, because the caliper goes on the back side of the spindle. But we use this 1/2 inch 1x1 square tubing, which it's 1x1. Andy, is this a 1x1 inner inner diamond?
1.5 by 1.5 OD.
OD?
Yeah,
okay.
1.5.
All right. That's what we used. You can use maybe a thick plate, but I think the tubing actually works better and is actually stronger. So what I did is I cut that notch, that little step a little bit. I grinded it down. That way it fits closer to the spindle, and that will have more surface area to weld, and I can just like kind of fill it in a little bit on top and bottom. The bottom was kind of dirty, so I have some kind of peanuts. Let's see if I can turn on the, okay, yeah. That didn't want to weld too clean right there, but on top it did weld pretty good. It's just I couldn't take the spindle out. I didn't want to have a hard time pushing the spindle out on the bottom, so I welded them on there. But you see, and if I want, I can still, I pick up the spindle, I can still weld a little bit more through here. That way I can kind of cover that and then make it a little bit stronger. Or I can even cut a plate if I want and kind of fill that in. But I'm not going to do that. I think that's good enough. But yeah, that's how you reinforce these spindles. It is important because once you start getting them inches, there's a high probability of that you can break it. But what I did is I also cut the bolt. I cut the head of the bolt. I stuck it back in and I welded it. That way this doesn't open back up. You can even weld in there, which I'm going to do that and then grind it. But, you know, it doesn't weld too great to this cast steel. So, you know, but it does weld. I mean, it's probably better with a stick welder and the right type of rod, but this does somewhat help and does keep it strong, so less likely to break, being that these are like the Cadillac spindles and they're a little bit longer. But that's how we do it. Y'all make sure to follow for more tips on these Lincolns. And while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all about the ghetto bar. All right, this ghetto bar right here, some people they bring it down and lower. The purpose of this bar right here, of this tubing, which eventually I'm gonna plate it, the ends on it. This is just so the frame don't cave inwards. It'll keep it straight, and that way it doesn't, your arms don't start caving in. But also next time on the next episode, I'm gonna show y'all how to do the pockets on these bubbles. That way when y'all bang, the cylinder doesn't go through, you know, and also that way the cylinder always stays straight and true, because the pockets are tilted a little bit, so sometimes it'll bend the shaft of your cylinder also, so that can be a big problem. Here's the final product, but I'm gonna give y'all the measurement of the square tubing. It's close to 9. You can do 8 3/4 or even 9, so you have space to weld all the way around and on top, and enough space to weld on the bottom. So I would do anywhere from 8 3/4, close to 9. And also, here's the measurement for the ghetto bar. I welded approximately close to 1 inch from that hole right there that holds the clip with threads that holds the sway bar. So do it close to 1 inch, or you can even do it 1 inch. It'll clear the sway bar links and the power steering hose, and you'll still have space to work in case you ever have to change any of that. But like I said, that keeps the frame from caving in, so that's actually a big help. If you want, you can bring it down some, but I don't do it. I just use it for the frame. But if you bring it down, it'll kind of keep the radiator support from hitting. But if you got a full stack like I do, you won't have that problem, unless you bad on the switch, just really bad. Well guys, that concludes this episode of Certified ALV. But you make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That way you can learn a little bit more of these bubbles, because these bubbles isn't the same thing as a G-body or a Cadillac. It's a whole different ball game, and if you don't know what's going on, you can ruin these cars from one day to another.